duty was to respond with generosity and imagination. After the governor's early arrival, he went on to a breakfast meeting starting at 7 a.m. at the Foreign Office with the Foreign Secretary, Sir Geoffrey Howe.
Well, obviously we aren't in a position to make any great statement now. I'm very glad to have had the opportunity of seeing the governor straight from the airport, having an opportunity of hearing his expression of anxieties and concern and advice direct from Hong Kong. We shall be seeing each other on a number of occasions in the days ahead, including going together to the conference in Geneva on Vietnamese boat people next week. We shall have further opportunities of discussing together the problems and the propositions and the future of Hong Kong. I've emphasized, of course, the extent to which we understand the deep anxiety of the people of Hong Kong, the extent to which we remain committed to our full duty for the administration of Hong Kong and for the security of the territory.
We're going to great lengths to break the news blackout in China. Many have been working around the clock to bring important information in and out of China. They've been using phone lines, computers, pen and pencil, and a piece of modern technology that proves to be invaluable, the facsimile machines. And with us now, Cheng Wan, president of the Chinese Students and Scholars Association at USC. The group is very involved with the fax network. How effective is the fax network for you?
It has proven to be very effective. I just received a phone call from a local businessman. He said he called China, he called a province in China yesterday, and people were telling him that they received fax messages from America, and they have duplicated the copies and they post them everywhere.
Now you can send that equipment over. You're not being blocked. It is possible to get fax machines into the country even now?
Well, yeah, even now you can still get fax messages over to China, because China, in all the major cities in China, they have hundreds of fax machines for business use purposes. There are also fax machines in universities, government offices, and it's very difficult to block the sending of fax images.
Tell us a little bit about what kind of information. You have some copies of faxes with you. I'm interested in knowing, sharing that with our audience.
Okay. This is, we collect local news. This is a collection of typical messages we've been sending back to China, and we have the name of the group to just show the legitimacy of the group, and we have name of the deputy director for that issue, and then the message body.
Right. So you're sending news clips coming out of...
Yeah, news clips, and yeah.
The United States. And what are some of these other messages say over here? Those that you have down here on the table. What kinds of information are you providing for them?
They are, sometimes we broadcast messages that we received from Tiananmen Square, because there's an independent student organization which organize all the demonstration, the hunger strike. And sometimes they have important messages they want to tell the rest of the nation.
Right.
And due to the news blackout, it's difficult for them to do that.
What are you hearing from the students in China?
For the recent couple of days, it's very difficult to reach anybody there. And it seems a member of a club successfully called Tsinghua University a couple of days ago. And the information he got is students are hiding. They don't even use their names to communicate with each other. Mm-hmm. They use fake names.
You said just before we went on the air that you're not terribly optimistic about what's happening. Mm-hmm. If that's the case, why do you feel that way?
It seems that the government control is very rigid on the nation, and there's a new army troop just moving to Beijing, as I heard it from a friend of mine this morning. He said that, before people hoped that as a result of the shift of the army troops, something important might happen, but it seems that's not the case. The new army troop expressed their support of the government.
Now, a number of Chinese students who are studying here in America have gone back to Beijing and perhaps to other cities and provinces. Mm-hmm. Do you ask students to go back? Do you think that that is a good thing for them to do, or are people like yourself calling upon them to stay here and give their support through this and through money?
I think it's more important for us to stay here and to support the students in China, because if you go back, it's very difficult for you to do anything, as a result of rigid control. But if you're here, you can do a number of things, which is very encouraging for the people there. Because yesterday, a friend of mine called Shanghai. She just made a random call and talked to a lady there. It seems people in China is very discouraged by the massacre, and they feel very encouraged to hear that all the nations are behind them, and all the Chinese overseas are behind them.
We had a guest on earlier who suggested to us that China is steeped in tradition of an emperor, a monarch, and that the transition to democracy may not only be very slow, but very difficult for the traditional Chinese to really stand and support. Do you think, I mean, you have 1 billion people, do you think that you have support for the students and democracy in China?
I do believe there is support for the students around the nation, but as social study in China suggests that, in general, the ability of taking risks among Chinese people is extremely low. So under such rigid control of the government, I doubt if the people can still openly show their support to the student organization.
With the losses that the students have incurred, with the fact that you're not optimistic, was it worth it?
I think it already sent out a strong message to the nation. I think the student movement is a very significant event in the history of Chinese history. It shows that there's a desire among the Chinese people for freedom and democracy. I think that message is very important.
Thank you for being with us today.
Sure. Thank you.
We'll be right back.
係7大軍區之前咧係有11個軍區嘅，但係因為係裁軍喺85年係裁軍100萬嘅關係咧，咁咧就亦都將呢個11大軍區咧係改編做咧係7大軍區。我哋一般講咧呢啲係大軍區，係以城市咧做單位。咁東北嘅瀋陽、北京一般咧係認為咧係比較大嘅軍區，嘅軍兵員嘅數目咧係可能到咧30-40萬。咁當然咧係要防備蘇聯啦。過去咧南京軍區或者同以前嘅福州軍區咧，咁當然咧就係防備台灣海峽啦。咁成都軍區以及過去嘅昆明軍區咧，當然咧係以防衛越南。喺60年代咧係仲要防備印度啦。所以呢一啲咧都係比較大一啲嘅軍區。相比嚟講，譬如話濟南軍區啊，或者廣州軍區啊，或者
呢啲比較係咪細啲？
比較細啲啦。
如果譬如細嘅，大概你嘅兵力會有幾多咧？
大概10零20萬。
10零20萬，因為而家總共大概有300幾萬嘅解放軍啦。
而家係大概有320幾萬嘅解放軍啦，但係精鋭嘅所謂第一線軍隊、野戰軍咧，大概有100幾萬度啦，150、6萬左右。其他嘅會係所謂第2線嘅軍隊咧，就歸呢個省軍區咧係負責到。
咁譬如嗱，你講翻嗰個命令嗰方面啦，嗱中央軍委就係差唔多係全權負責晒下邊所有嘅軍隊嘅所有嘅。咁但係省軍區嗰方面咧，佢裏邊嘅軍隊調動可唔可以由省自己本身可以決定咧？
所有軍隊嘅調動咧，都係由中共中央軍委咧係全權負責，大概咧係一個野戰軍左右嘅部隊嘅調動咧，係可以由軍區司令員呢啲大軍區司令員咧係負責。一個野戰軍以上嘅調動咧，就一定要由咧係中共中央軍委嘅主席咧下命令啦。
嗱咁其實我哋中國嘅軍隊嘅編制同外國軍隊嘅編制究竟有咩唔同咧？不如我哋休息陣間翻嚟再傾傾啦。